Okay, so um, after the war, Bosch started out building fuel injection, mechanical fuel injection pump for cars. This is one of the first pump used by Bosch. It was installed in the Goliath car. It was a two-cylinder, two-stroke engine. Uh, the pump was driven from the engine camshaft. It was controlled by a vacuum from the engine, and the vacuum went in here. We have the two outlets for each cylinder. Each year has a ladder. Ladder M would be 1956, and the 10 would be for the 10 months, so it would be October. This pump was produced 1956 in October. Okay, after Goliath, next step was actually the 300 SL pump. It was then a six-cylinder pump, had a mechanical supply pump which brought the fuel from the tank to the injection pump. Okay, that was bolted onto here. It was also still vacuum controlled through this vacuum governor. It also corrected for altitude, which is the altitude chambers are in here. As more altitude, as less fuel the pump delivers. It's six-cylinder timed to the intake stroke of the engine. Okay. Next step was actually they went away from vacuum controlled pumps to RPM controlled pumps. The pump was controlled with a flyweight governor internally and with throttle position. So according to throttle position and RPM, the pump will change the fuel whatever the engine needs. Okay, this is the governor inside the pump. It controls the movement of the three-dimensional cam. It goes on here with a thrust, whatever, and according to RPM, so the governor is closed at low RPM. With RPM, the flyweights will open and move the space cam, we call this thing, in a different position. Space cam transmits these contours onto a sensor, a stylist, and that will then move the movement of the space cam onto the control rack. The control rack will then adjust the fuel flow. Also with RPM, the cam will twist that way, and that's controlled by the throttle lever. Okay, so it looks like this here. Okay. A unique thing on the mechanical pump is also they have a warm-up controlled thermostat in there, and that's the big thermostat, which is very expensive. In case you have to replace it, you're looking at $1,000 for this part only. Okay, so so that was on the 230s. The 250 is the next evolution. They changed. Okay, they changed the flyweight governor. Was always still the same. It has still a starting solenoid. It also still lubricated with pressure feed. I got to tell you how the pressure feed works. Actually, you have to add oil to the pump. The oil goes in here, and you got a dipstick below. Take this out. So that's the dipstick. You check the oil level in the pump. The pump has also an oil line going to it. That's here. Okay. And the way that works, you got oil pressure, but only in the very upper part of the pump. The oil will go up here, the higher part, you have fuel. Then here it's divided. Down here you have oil pressure, and you see this little hole here, that's where the oil goes and lubricates the plunger. That's all the oil supply does on the 230 and on the 250. Also the 300 SL pump is the same way. Next one is the 280 pumps. They eliminated that oil adding to the pump because they have a flow through the pump, and the oil goes in here into the pump. Okay, it will fill up the pump to a certain level inside, and then the oil will return here back into the engine. Okay, that's for the 280 pumps. First 280 pump, 68, 69, they had two solenoids, at least the US versions, had a stop solenoid. It's the lower solenoid. It gets activated by switches in the engine, and it will shut off the fuel when you coast with the engine, with the car. You will actually release your throttle, and then it will shut off the fuel. The upper solenoid is the starting solenoid. It's only engaged during cranking of the engine. So after the engine started once, there is no more action of the solenoid. After the engine started, then the thermostat will take over and gives you extra fuel. With a rod going down into the pump here. You can see it, it's connected here. Okay. It also controls airflow, gives you extra air when the engine is cold. You have an air filter here where it goes, the air goes into the engine via this air valve. When the engine warms up, the thermostat will expand and will shut off the fuel, the airflow, and also diminish the fuel flow. After a certain temperature, it will not have any effect on the running on the car. Then in 1970, they rearranged the starting system of the car, and they used only a stop solenoid. A stop solenoid is mainly a smog device. It was not used in Germany. In Germany, the German pumps, they all don't have a stop solenoid. Okay, it's so much for that. Okay, here we have a injection pump, mechanical injection pump from 2002 BMW TII. The pump is called Kugelfischer because it was manufactured by a company called Kugelfischer. They were based in Munich, Germany. After almost the end of the mechanical injection pump, Bosch took over the Kugelfischer brand, and it became a Bosch brand, but it was still manufactured by by Kugelfischer in Germany. It was in the end it was mainly used for race cars because up until the 1980 they used mechanical injection on the race car, which was used. The electronic injection was not that advanced, so they trusted the mechanical injection more. We have a cutaway from how this pump actually works internally. Okay, that's the inside of a Kugelfischer pump. What we have here is fuel going into the pump, coming in here. We got these check valves. You can see very little here. Okay, the check valve will open when the piston is going down. Okay, so now it's going down. It will fill this chamber here with fuel. When the piston is coming up, the suction check valve will close and it pushes the fuel out through this outlet here, and from here it goes in the line and injectors and the manifold and eject the fuel. Okay, the stroke of this plunger is controlled by this plate here. It will eliminate the bottom dead center and move up and down, so we got more or less fuel or less stroke, which will adjust the amount of fuel. The plate is controlled by RPM and the space cam. The space cam is this part here. You can see with RPM it will turn. With the throttle position it will move back and forward, and that will adjust the amount of fuel that way. Okay. Okay, let's talk about how these pumps actually working. We got a pumping plunger here, okay, goes up and down, it's controlled by the camshaft. In order to see better what we are doing and how it works, we have a bigger display here. That's just this part, but much bigger, so you can see it better. The way the pumping action is actually done, the fuel will go down, will go in here while the piston is down. When the piston is coming up and closing this hole here, the fuel has to go out to the top on here, okay, and it will pump as long until the bottom end opens here, then the pressure will go back into the pump. Now if I twist this, the hole will be longer period of time closed, and we adjust the fuel flow to a higher fuel flow. Okay, so the twisting of the plunger will actually control the amount of fuel the pump is pumping. Now inside the pump we have this control rack here that will twist the plunger like this here. Okay, and will give more or less fuel. The movement of the control rack is controlled by by this sensor here inside here. It will see that senses the contours on the space cam and will move the control rack back and forward with throttle position. It also will bring the space cam in a different position when the engine spins and the flyweights are opening. Okay, so that's how they control the fuel. The pump is, when the pump is hot, we have a ratio from, if it moves here 1/10 of a millimeter, it will move 3/10 of a millimeter on the control rack. If the engine is cold, we need more fuel. The piston here will still move 1/10 of a millimeter, but then the ratio will change, and instead of 3/10 up here, we're gonna move 4 or 5/10 of a millimeter. That will almost double the amount of fuel when the engine is cold. Contrary, if you go up to the mountains, we have a altitude compensator, and it will actually diminish the ratio. You have still 1/10 here, but up here you have maybe only 0.5 tenths of a millimeter, so it's much less. So that's how they adjust the amount of fuel, by changing the ratio from here to the control rack. Okay. Pump is also timed. Each cylinder has its outlet, and what we do on a gas engine, contrary to the diesel engine, we actually inject the fuel during the suction stroke of the engine. So when the piston goes down and sucks in air, at the same time we inject fuel into the manifold. Different on diesel pumps, they inject fuel into the compression stroke. When the engine piston comes up on a diesel engine, it will compress the air inside there and will create a lot of heat, and then we're gonna inject the fuel, and the fuel will ignite because of the heat inside the cylinder of the diesel engine. So much for that. Okay, what we have here is basically the same like on the Mercedes pumps. The only thing to accommodate this particular pump onto a Porsche engine, they had to make it shorter. In order to make it shorter, they have 2 rows of outlets. It's called a double row pump. Okay, so that's the main difference. The governor works the same on the Mercedes and on the Porsche pump. Of course, the Porsche pump doesn't have any water, so we control the warm-up, extra fuel we need with the air hose, which is connected to an outlet on the exhaust, and it will heat up the thermo element inside the Porsche pump through bimetallic shims. Okay. After the pump is rebuilt, we have to do the basic adjustment on the governor. This is all the tool we need. That's the port we're gonna install here. But this is all the parts, the tools we need to adjust the pump. Okay. This gauge here will control, will give us the measurement of the control rack. Stick this on the end of the control rack. It's connected to the control rack with a little magnet here. So we put this on, tighten it, okay. Then we push it all the way in, and then we check adjust the dial indicator to 0. So that's our starting point to the injection pump. Okay. Next thing, we also measure warm-up regulator, and for that we use this gauge here. Okay. Okay. Now, first thing we have to determine which position the idle stop goes. That's the idle stop is this part here. Okay, it has long holes. Okay. So what we have to do is bring this to a level position here. Okay. I use a level. Okay. Put this on. Okay, now we know this the shaft and the ball from the throttle lever is on a level position. Okay. At this point, we're gonna adjust the lever Zuordnung. It's all written in Germany. They never translated it into English. So it says here, Leerlaufanschlag is supposed to be 49 degrees. Okay. So this is level, so we set it here to 49 degrees our pointer. So, okay, we read the upper scale. Move this over to 49. Okay, when we are 49, we tighten this. Okay. And then we loosen this screws here. So that's the screws who hold the idle stop. So then we move our dial indicator to 0 degrees. Okay, so like this. Okay, at this point we are 0 degrees here. We will push the idle stop all the way against the lever. Okay, just hold it close to the lever and then we tighten the screws. One, number two. Okay, okay. So we have that. Okay, so that's all set. Next step, we're gonna need this centerpiece that screws onto the end of the camshaft. Okay, so we screw this onto the camshaft. Now what we're gonna set next is the position from the internal lever to the outer level. And as you can see here, this is a clamp, but it can go in any position. So we have to find the correct position to install the lever. And that's done. We got to read our test specs again. It says here, Zuordnung would be 46.5 degrees. Okay, so we have our special tool here. The ball from the thing goes in here, and the other side we put in here. Okay, so let's put this in. Okay, now we have the ball is inside here and the lever is there. Okay, now we can loosen the clamp screw a little bit. Yeah. We take our dial indicator and we set it to 46.5 degrees. At this point we can tighten the clamp screw. So that's the basic setting for the lever. Next thing, we take this off here, that tool, and we secure the lever a little bit. And we got to bring this out of the way. So, okay, so let's see, better like this. So, okay. Now, come on. Okay. Now using this tool here, okay. We call this Regelweg difference. We're gonna set this. We got to run the pump a little bit, and we let the ball run from the bigger diameter to the smaller diameter, okay? And then we have to read the test specs. It says we should have a difference in control rack reading from 4 to 4.2 millimeter. Okay, let's do that. I put it in here, okay. And now it's on the bigger thing, okay. So I will be setting this to about 4 millimeter. So we approximately, okay. Okay, it's gonna get some noisy here. So we got 4 to 7.4, but we would need about 8 to 8.2. The way we adjust this is we got to add shims to the altitude compensator. So we got to remove the altitude compensator and add some shims. You see there is already shims here, so we're gonna add some more. Okay. Let me go and get some shims. Hold on. Okay, let's start. Shims put on compensator again. Let's check again what we get. Start test bed. Sometimes it takes a few tries to get the correct amount of shims. Let's try this again. Put it back on. Okay, so that's the basic setting we have to do. We all done with that. We can assemble the governor now. Take this off and take this piece off too. Okay. Now the parts we're gonna need is the flyweights. That's the space cam or three-dimensional cam. Okay. We need a thrust washer, goes on this side. And need a washer on the other side where the spring goes. spring will push the space cam always against the arms of the flyweight, you see. So, let's see if I can, you see, it always pushes the space cam towards the arms of the flyweight. Okay, okay. And we put this on here. Now, the tricky thing is assembling everything without losing anything. So, connecting lever has to go into the flyweight here. Okay. So I put this in. Now I push the flyweights onto the taper of the camshaft. I make sure it's tight. Then I got to stick in the washer. That's that. Then I use the nut. See if I can get it on first time. Otherwise we try again. Oh no, it worked. Okay. Okay. Now we need the tool to tighten the nut. Push the tool. Goes the other way. So. Now I got it. Okay. It's tight. Now we're gonna torque 40 Newton meter. Okay. Hold this here. And hold this here. Okay. Now we got it. Okay. Now comes this piece that holds, pushes against the flyweight arm on the other side of the can. Put this in. Come on. Put this level. Here we got 3 springs. These are the governor springs. We got the middle spring is the strongest, okay? It goes from 1500 RPM on up. And we got the second spring, that's the second weakest. That goes from 800 to 1500 RPM on the pump. And then we have the middle spring that regulates the idle tension. So we got to install this. Okay, all in. Then we have the control head. The control head is adjustable. We have 5 screws. The 2 wide screws here, they for high RPM. It will adjust the tension of this stop here, okay? And then we got the black screws. We got to adjust these always in pairs. So the disc, the stop disc is even. And then the middle screw is to adjust the idle speed. That's the one you adjust from the outside through the knob. Okay. So we got a little disc going on to the idle screw. That's this here. And then we put this in here. Okay. 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 Now We need pliers to put the clip on. We push this in. Okay. Got to install the clip. Okay. You can see here the space cam, how it twists back and forth. Okay, we can run the pump quick without the cover, so you see the action of the governor. Okay, turn on the machine. Okay. Put on a cover. So you still can peep inside, see what's going on. Okay, now we got to add some oil. See if that's enough. We put the throttle to 32 degrees on the protractor. We drive the pump with 2210. We adjust the control rack to 4.6 to 4.7. Next control rack travel 4.2 to 4.4. Last we adjust is the idle. Set the throttle to 32 degrees. Okay. Five degrees on the throttle, 4, 5, that's it. So we got only 3.6, we should have at least 4.2. Okay, so we got to adjust the black screws, bunch. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try again. Okay, we got the basic setting on the control rack in millimeters. Important thing is of course the fuel flow, so we got to check the fuel flow 1500 RPM and 54 to 56.
300 SL pump.
Yeah, yeah. You see what we have here? We got the mechanical supply pump that brings the fuel from the tank, goes through the pump, goes through the supply pump, and then it goes through the filter and goes into the injection pump, you know. We got a check valve here which regulates the the pressure inside the pump. We got the manometer. We can adjust spring pressure with the supply pressure with shims inside. Okay. Same thing here. We can run the pump. Turn it on. Now this test bench is a little slow. It has only two flow meters, and then it will change for fluid and the next fluid and the next fluid, and then it stops again, so it doesn't measure everything at one time. I don't like it. But the RPM should be that's what we have right now. It's